Hi guys, welcome to this new lecture. This is Loai with you. In this lecture, we are going to dig deeper about how to create shapes. Also, most importantly, how to use the modifier keys. So let's take an example. I will choose the rectangle here, come to the composition, click and drag. Now notice I have certain colors. To change the colors here, what I can do is to come to the fill and the stroke. You notice there is the fill word and the fill color. If you click on the fill word, you will have certain options such as no fill at all, solid color fill like this one, linear gradient and radial gradient. You also have a blending mode that you can apply. We'll see this later. And you have the opacity. The opacity is how transparent or how opaque you want your fill to be. If you come to the color, of course, you can come and change the color the way you would like. You come to the stroke, the word stroke. If you click on it, you have the same options for no stroke, solid fill, linear and radial gradient, and of course the blending modes and the opacity. You have the stroke color, same, and you have the stroke size. You can click and scrub to make it big or small the way you like. Let's put it, for example, at 11 here or 12, something like this. You can also click on it and type, for example, 10 and press enter, and here you are, you've changed the colors. Now there is another way to do that. I will delete this rectangle. Before I start creating the shape, I can click on the shape, any shape, and change the colors from here. I will change, for example, to darker or lighter and change all these parameters, the stroke, and then start drawing my rectangle. I will put this to 15 to show you, and now it is set. Now these parameters here, or these values, are set for all the shapes you are going to create, not only for rectangle. If you go to ellipse, you will find is the same parameters. So let's use the modifier key. The first modifier key I want to show you is the spacebar. Let's create an ellipse. For example, I click and drag. Ellipse is nice. Then while having the mouse button pressed, it means you are still clicking, you did not release the mouse button, you press spacebar and you can move your circle anywhere you want. That is pretty cool. Cool guys, you can adjust it, put it anywhere you want. Let's delete this one. I will select the selection tool. From now on I press V and select the shape layer and delete. Cool. Let's take now a rectangle, for example, and see the second modifier key, which is the shift. I will click and drag, and now I have a rectangle. What happens if I want a square? All I have to do is to press shift and the sides will become equal, and now I have a square. Cool. It can also be used to create perfect circles. Here you are. I will choose the ellipse, click and drag, and now I press shift and I have a perfect circle. So this is the way to create a square or a circle. I will delete these two layers and show you something more. Now we want to look at the control. Let's take the ellipse, for example. Now I will demonstrate to you how to work with the control, which is very useful. If I click and drag, the ellipse is created through the first click, which is a corner here. But sometimes you want to create your ellipses and your circles starting from the center. For this, use the control key. If you press control, now the first click is the center of your ellipse. If you press shift, you have a perfect circle, which center is your first click. That's very useful. It is also useful when you're creating rectangles. If you click and you open using the control, the first click is your center and you have the shift and it becomes a perfect square. Let's try to use the up and down arrows and the left and right. The arrows don't have an effect on the ellipse or the rectangle. They have effects on the rounded rectangle, the polygon and the star. Let's choose a rounded rectangle. If you click and drag, you notice this roundness came or was inherited from the rounded rectangle I created just before. Okay, it could be in a different project, it doesn't matter. Now I have the roundness. If I use the down arrow, you will notice that the roundness is being cancelled or is diminishing. If I press the up arrow, the roundness now is increasing. Cool guys. Now the left arrow will cancel totally the roundness and you have a rectangle. The right arrow will make maximum roundness up to you can have a square. So this is the up and down arrow, left and right, for the rounded rectangle. Now when you come to polygon and star, The arrows have a totally different purpose, and it's quite nice, by the way. So this is how to use the modifier keys. I will not go through it, but I will show you how to use the polygon. If I click and drag, I will create a polygon. I press the space bar, I can move my polygon. The shift key, you notice here you can turn it around and, you know, scale it up and down. But if you want it to be stable, you press the shift key. Cool, that's one. Now, if you want to increase the number of corners or the sides, use the up arrow. And if you want to decrease them, then you use the down arrow until you get a triangle. And here you have a perfect triangle. That is very good. That's how you create a triangle. You create a polygon and you reduce the number of sides to 3. This is about the up and down arrow. If you use the control key here, there is no effect. Let me delete this one. I want you to notice something important. For the polygon and for the star also, when you click, your first click is the center of the polygon. Now notice what happened here. When I click to create a new polygon, it did not give me a pentagon. That is the factory standard. It gave me the last one I used. Now, if you don't want this, and maybe the last one used is quite complicated, what you do, you come to polygon, you make sure polygon is here. Let's delete this one. And you double click. Immediately the standard or the factory standard, I like calling it like this, will appear. After that, if you create a new polygon, then it will be the factory standard or the preset for polygon. So this is how to reset your polygons and your polystars also. Fine. Now here, if I use the up arrow, we said more sides. Cool. I will use the space bar to put it in the middle. If I use right arrow, now some magic will happen here and you're starting puckering or bloating. I really don't know which one is puckering. The one that you go out and there is bloating, the one that you go down. And you create, you know, extremely nice shapes. Now, for me, it has been impossible to create two identical shapes at the same time unless I go back to the figures and the numbers inside the content. What you can do is to create your shapes, create a project with all the shapes that you like and save it. And then every time you need it, I will teach you how to get the shapes from this project. I will leave you to play around with the star, and it's pretty interesting, and use the up and down arrows, and the control is interesting also. So you can get familiar on how to create the shapes using the modifier keys. Now the modifier keys are very important when you are trying to lay out your first design. They will help you a lot, mainly the spacebar, the shift and the control. And I will see you in the next lecture where we will start our project by creating shapes and text and putting together a nice animation. See you then.